Hello and welcome to today's adventure. We're in Heptonstall. Now you might be wondering what's so metal about Heptonstall. Well, what if I were to tell you a tale of counterfeiting, of murders and executions, about someone getting hot coals put down the trousers and having the nadgers burnt off? Does that sound metal enough? Well, let me weave for you the tale of the Cragg Vale Coiners. But first, let me show you a little bit about Heptonstall. As you can see, it's an absolutely lovely place. There's even an old telephone box here. You don't see these anywhere. Heptonstall was first mentioned in 1274, and apparently the name Heptonstall means stall or stable of Hebden, which is just down the road. Anyway, you can see it's beautiful. It's like going back in time. Let's take a bit of a walk up and I'll tell you a bit about the Cragg Vale Coiners. Coining used to be when coins had the edges clipped off or shaved, and the metal was used to be melted down and new coins were stamped out of them. That's the reason like coins are milled nowadays, and they've been milled since 1662. Apparently Isaac Newton came up with the idea for that. Seems quite simple for such a clever fella, but you know, it didn't deter people and coining still went on. So they had to come up with some pretty harsh punishments for the forging of foreign coins. It was often Portuguese coins for some reason. It was made misprision of treason, which means contempt of treason, and the punishment was death. But for forging British coins, that was considered high treason, and for that you'd be hung, drawn and quartered. Now, the Cragg Vale Coiners only forged Portuguese coins, I think, so it probably put the minds at ease to know that they weren't only going to get hung and not drawn and quartered. Anyway, the coiners were a gang of about 80 people at one point, and they were led by a man called David Hartley, also known as King David Hartley. And the gang were weavers from Mythenroyd, and this were about the start of the Industrial Revolution, so you know, work were a bit scarce, they were quite poor, so they had to make money somehow, so they started, you know, forging coins to get by. This enterprise was so successful that it caused enormous damage to the British economy. They made approximately £3.5 million, which is about £650 million in today's money, and they put them like coins into the economy, and it reduced the currency's value by 9%. Now, that's pretty bad, you know, reducing the currency's value by 9%. And you know, execution was on the cards for them. But when you think about Brexit reducing the economy by 16%, it makes you think about Jacob Rees-Mogg, Boris Johnson, Nigel Farage. Just a thought. Anyway, soon the law got involved, and in 1769 a public official called William Dayton began investigating the possibility of fraud. One of the coiners, James Broadbent, grassed up the gang and Hartley was arrested. Anyway, as revenge, Hartley's brother Isaac ordered a hit on Dayton, and farmhands Matthew Normanton and Robert Thomas, who were employed by the coiners, ambushed and shot dead Dayton on Bull Close Lane, Halifax, which is, about 5 minutes from where I live. The coiners, they were in the pub one day and they overheard Dayton's informer was called Abraham Ingham, and he was a farmhand, saying he knew who Dayton's killers were. So the gang threw Ingham in the fire and then put burning coals down his trousers, killing him. Now, I'm not sure what happened first. Did they throw him in the fire and then put hot coals down his trousers? It seems like he's breaking a lot of health and safety rules there. Anyway, the end result was Ingham were dead. His nutsack scorched right off. Anyway, former Prime Minister and Marquis of Rockingham, Charles Watson Wentworth, posh name if ever I've heard it, were tasked with catching Dayton's killers. And on Christmas Day 1769, 30 coiners, including David Hartley, were arrested. Now, most of them were acquitted due to a mix-up with the evidence, but Hartley was convicted. And on April 28th, 1770, he was taken to York and hanged at Tyburn. This big old glorious church is the church of St Thomas the Apostle, but the real crowning glory of Heptonstall has to be just there, and it's the church of St Thomas a Becket. It was built in 1260, I think, and it was destroyed by a gale in 1872. Look at me being really disrespectful walking over all these gravestones. Loads of them. But these are really some fantastically glorious ruins. Apparently somewhere in these this graveyard there's the grave of David Hartley. I'm going to try and find it. And here's the final resting place of David Hartley, buried in the graveyard of St Thomas a Becket. As you can see, locals have come up, put coins on his grave. I don't know why, he were a rum customer, he were a bad egg. But yeah, here he lies. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this tale of the Cragg Vale Coiners. A little trip round Heptonstall. Hope to see you soon on a next adventure. Hey, I just met you when this is crazy, but here's my number, so call me maybe. It's hard to look right at you, baby, but here's my number, so call me maybe. Since you came into my life, I missed you so bad. I missed you so bad. I missed you so, so bad. Since you came into my life, I missed you so bad. And you should know that. So call me maybe.